And let's talk about the passport renewal for Nigerians in diaspora. I'm being joined live on the news by my guest, a global affairs analyst, Nweke. Good afternoon, Mr. Nweke. Compliment of the season. Glad to have you join me.
My pleasure. Thank you. I wish you the same and happy to be with you.
All right. Now, what potential challenges or concerns might arise from Nigerians returning home with expired passports? And how do you think these directives address or mitigate these issues, especially considering security and documentation requirements?
Well, first and foremost, I must say that the humongous improvement that took place at the Nigerian Immigration Service is absolutely commendable. This is something Nigeria has never seen before. The pragmatism, the hard work, and all of that is something that any government, not just in Nigeria, anywhere in the world, should emulate. I think it's important to start from there. Now, just with every policy, sometimes there are unanticipated, negative impacts. And I believe that one of the unanticipated negative impacts, I don't know the extent to which it was taken into consideration in actually, coming up with the policy, is the fact that there are governments out here in the diaspora that are actually impatient to deport Nigerians back to Nigeria, whether it is justified or unjustified. And so one of the things that Nigerian diplomatic missions have been doing is to carry out thorough investigation and ascertain who is eligible to be deported or who not, and if considered eligible, then a travel certificate is issued. Now, one of the negative impacts of this is that if the foreign governments are aware that Nigerians could be sent back to Nigeria, legitimate or illegitimately, as long as they have a passport that is expired, they can very easily force them into an aircraft, and there they are back in Nigeria. So that is one of the very obvious, negative impacts that had to be looked into.
But Collins, what impact might these have on bureaucratic hurdles, for instance, in the process of policy renewals for Nigerians in diaspora?
Well, the impact is that, for a start, those whose passports are genuinely expired and they want to return back to Nigeria and wouldn't have to go through, the administrative bottleneck of waiting for passports to be issued and so on and so forth. These people can very easily, especially in cases of emergency, these people can very easily take their expired passport and board the plane. And when they get into Nigeria, they wouldn't have any, problems with immigration considering this, directive. So that is an obvious win. That is a massive help for a good number of people. But I want to continue to emphasize that it does have some, downsides, and those downsides should be taken care of decisively.
But then how will they identify and also, verify those people actually eligible to travel? I'm talking about those without valid travel documents.
Yeah, I think a blanket statement such as, that the type that the Nigerian Immigration Services has issued, which is the directive you referred to, both to the missions, Nigerian missions abroad, foreign governments, and also, airlines. I believe that it is important to insert in that directive a proviso to the effect that when it is a case of deportation, when it is a case of, people who have served, jail terms or are serving jail terms abroad, and, they want to be punished a second time by deporting them back to Nigeria, that directive doesn't quite hold. So in such contentious cases, the Nigerian missions should always, as a matter of obligation, be informed, and indeed they need to sign off on that process. That is the only way to ensure that vulnerable people are not bundled home, are not bundled together and then, unjudiciously sent back to Nigeria. That's one. And then secondly, and as important, is that this directive should have a time frame attached to it. As it is now, it is an open-end directive. So they should look at it as a kind of, a trial, an experimental thing, whereby it could be left open for 3 months, maybe 6 months. And at the end of that, they evaluate what has gone on and then either stop it or extend it, because by that time, the backlogs would have been, completely eliminated.
But Collins, in the long term, what broader implications might this decision, for instance, have on Nigeria's relationship with its diaspora community?
A positive relationship should emanate out of this if the Nigeria Immigration Service is conscientious enough to take this, the downside of this, policy into consideration. I mean, like I said, there is, what you can call, unanticipated negative consequences, one of which is the one that I have just highlighted. If the government of Nigeria, particularly the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who has actually strong experience having served as ambassador in Germany for quite a long time, he knows those issues, and I believe that he and his, foreign service officers should be in the vanguard of getting the the Nigerian Immigration Service on the table to actually iron out this specific, downside. This way, it is going to be a win-win both for Nigeria and for Nigerians in diaspora in the long term.
I most sincerely thank you for your time on the news. Collins Nweke, Global Affairs Analyst. Thank you once again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.